Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. Alright, so I'm getting out the house. Ain't did that too much lately this week, it seems. Yesterday I stayed in. Honestly, I don't know what was going on with me yesterday. I felt pretty good. I think I just felt like doing art yesterday. Did a lot of pieces and kind of was feeling a little lethargic, so I just had a lazy day, to be honest with you. I didn't really do much of anything. The Lakers started at 7 o'clock, so it wasn't like I needed to be home for an early game like I do tonight. But, you know, I mean, some days you just don't really feel like doing too much. And, of course, I always have the excuse of not wanting to waste money on transportation costs. You know, dwindling down my funds for food buying and stuff like that. So I'd probably just stay home and save money. That was kind of the attitude. And felt pretty good doing it. Rested. You know, it was a lazy day. A really lazy day. But I'm back out today, man. I actually feel like being out, but it's like with this early game, it's already almost 1 o'clock, and I got some things I need to purchase. So, you know, I got to hurry up and get back here so I can be ready for the game. And I'm just tired of these early Laker games. I really am. I have no problem with them playing on 7:30 at night, but 5:30, 4:30, it's irritating, man. But yeah, that's really what's up. Just trying to keep up with the consistency of things, and I'm ready to be out. Like, it got to a point where I was feeling stuffy in that house, in that unit rather, today. It's like, all right, let me get out of here. Plus, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so the way that I see it is, I gotta be out leading up to this Thanksgiving thing, because you know it's hard to be social, even around people you know and love. It's hard to be social when you've been in your own little cocoon as much as I have over these last couple of days. And I don't even think I left the house the day before yesterday either. I don't remember if I did. If I did, I only went out for a half a second and came back in. So, like, that's 2 straight days in the unit. That's like me back at Lennox. That's not how I like to do things, but I think that's kind of how this week is gone. Maybe went out the day before that and then stayed in the day before that. So it's like, it's 3 out of 4 days where I've just been kind of isolated. That's not like who I'm become over here, but you know, I just been listening to my body. My body's been telling me to relax. You know, trying to stay in on Sunday because of Bible study. Even though we actually didn't have Bible study, I was trying to stick around the area. And like I said, you know, saving money is really what's keeping me in the house more than a desire to actually be there. But you know, that's just what it is, man. I'll be very happy when the turn of the month comes, so that I can have my free rides on the train and all of that be replenished. As I said at the beginning of the month, I had made the mistake of getting on and off the train one random day and ended up using up like 5 of them in one day. And I knew that was going to come back and haunt me at the end of the month, and that's where we're at. So I've been trying to, like, just not, basically, to end the month because of it, and it sucks. I like being out nowadays. So that's really what it is. That excuse has kept me either in the house or kept me from taking the train, and all of that is not how I like to do things. So I'm out right now, though. I feel good. Shaved my head, face, and all of that. Threw on a decent fit, so I'm just ready to go. I don't know if I'm gonna go to the local Trader Joe's and buy some rice over there, or if I'll go to the Hollywood Trader Joe's and buy some rice over there. But you know, last time I went to this Trader Joe's on this side of town, I just get vibes that I don't like there. Some places you go to, man, as a person of color, and you just feel like you're either not welcome there, or you have to be overly, like, super welcoming, or else people are gonna look at you like you're a bad guy. And that's exactly how I feel when I go into this particular Trader Joe's over here in North Hollywood. It's just a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood, and I don't think they really like black people over there too much, if I'm being completely honest with you. And it's funny because it's like, on this side of North Hollywood, this area where I'm at, you know, none of that is even prevalent. But once you take that little cut off Linkersham to the right, and you go over about 3 or 4 blocks, it's like being in an all-white neighborhood. It's like the neighborhood completely shifts. And suddenly you feel like you're in a space where you are not welcome or you don't belong. It's just the vibes, man. I'm just being honest with you. It's the looks that you get when you walk in the store. It's the looks you get when you're walking down the street. I had 2 different white people cross the street away from me last time I went to that Trader Joe's. 2 different people saw me coming and crossed the street, jaywalk. They didn't even wait till they got to the stop sign. They jaywalked to get away from me. It's like, you know what? If I'm being honest with all of you guys, that experience kind of ate away at my desire to even really go out the house, if I'm being real with you. Like, I was still going out after that, but it left me in such a negative space of mind to where it was like, man, I don't really want to be around people. If that's what I'm running into as I leave the house, I'm just as comfortable staying in the house. That actually, in some very small way, played into why I've been in the house as much as I have. It just ain't. It's uncomfortable, man. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. It's kind of uncomfortable when you're treated that way, or if you perceive you're being treated that way, even if that's not what's really going on. You know, it was that energy coupled with how I felt walking in the store, people looking at me like this. You know, the people at the sales desk sometimes not so kind to you. I had one guy, when I tried to swipe my card, it didn't go through the first time. He was like, I don't like what that just did. Is that your card? I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't like what that just did. Like, I was like, bro, I didn't ask you what you like. Like, what are you talking about? And I went through again, and it went through. It was like, oh, okay. I'm like, what is this, man? You know, it's just a racist vibe over there, if I'm being completely honest with you. The Trader Joe's and that surrounding area, I don't really like going over there, man. I really don't like going over there. And so that's what I just want to say to people. Like, even though I have a Trader Joe's in the neighborhood, from here on out, if I could stay away from having to go there, I'm not going to go there. Because that's not the only time I've had energy like that pointed at me when I go there. It's every time I go to that one, I have that energy pointed at me. Every single time I feel that way. And I find myself to be a pretty receptive person to energies around me. I feel myself being aware of when people are looking at me like I'm about to rob the store or something. That's the vibes that I get over there. So for me, it's like, I'm staying away from that Trader Joe's. I'm just being honest with you. I like taking that walk. You know, it's a nice little area to walk. It's really nice. The shopping center is a nice place. But I didn't have one too many times going in that area feeling like I'm the black dude, as opposed to just being a human being when I'm walking around. I don't feel that way in Hollywood. You know, I really don't. I don't get those vibes in my hometown. Even though you get some energy that you probably don't like, it ain't that. But like this little area of the valley, wherever that little corner is, about 1.5 miles away, it ain't for us, my black friends. It ain't for us. And they make sure you know it too. They make sure you know it. So that's just something I don't have any problem telling the truth about, man. I'm not the race card guy. I don't particularly love having to point things out that I feel or perceive is biased against me for my skin color or for my perceived culture. But at the same time, it's like, you know, people are what they are, man. I'm gonna be a black dude, and those folks are gonna be whatever they are. You know what I mean? And as I walk past them, sometimes those energies collide. They don't know what to think of me, and I definitely don't like what I think they're thinking of me, and so there's that. You know what I mean? That's how it goes. And I'm not gonna beat myself up over that as it pertains to, oh, you just tripping. No, I'm not. I'm 40 years old. I know when people are tripping on me for my skin color. I can tell. I don't think I'm an idiot when it comes to stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm not going there today. I would rather risk going to Hollywood and being a little late for the game than going to that Trader Joe's and having more of that to guard against spiritually. It's very uncomfortable. It's somewhat depressing because I know I'm nothing like what it is they're guarding against. And I think it's just insulting in a way too, because it's like there's a lot of different components that go into why I don't even think that's just. You know, like I didn't steal the land, you know what I'm saying? Just to be honest with you. I didn't come here and slaughter the native people and then proceed to put my flag here and act like they're supposed to be celebrating me tomorrow. Like, no, that's y'all. So, you know what I'm saying? And that's real talk. So I'm just being honest with you guys, man. I'm not the race card guy. I'm not gonna be like, oh, everybody's racist. No, just only when I see it, I'll tell you what to see. And I've had a week to think about it. I didn't bring it to you guys that day. I didn't turn on the camera right after it happened because I didn't feel like it, you know, straight up. But now that it's time for me to go back over there, I ain't going over there. I'm not. So, yeah, that's what I got to say about that, man. Yeah, I think for the most part, I'm in good spirits. I'm glad to be out the house getting fresh air and getting some exercise that I think is much needed. You know, I've been kind of steering away from the conversations that I know I should be talking about in regards to Gaza. I haven't really been paying as much attention to that as I should. I know that the Lakers and various different things have kind of distracted me away from that conversation. But what I have been seeing is just them trying to invade Lebanon. Israel really trying to invade Lebanon, but ultimately they're failing. From what I understand, there's been a lot of fighting going on that hasn't been going their way. So I guess they were attempting to agree to a ceasefire that was supposed to take place at 5 this morning. But until then, they were bombing the hell out of people and killing people and slaughtering people. It's like, for me, after watching this for the entire time, it's like we know better than to believe that these circumstances are going to actually end in a ceasefire. We've seen them negotiate on ceasefires and then claim that the other side didn't want a ceasefire. We've seen them negotiate on ceasefire and then proceed to kill the person they're negotiating with. Like, when you see that type of stuff over and over again, the latest ceasefire conversation just doesn't, it's not real to you. You're like, yeah, whatever. If the other side has proven itself to be untrustworthy in every way, shape, and form, then why would you believe this time that they're going to be trustworthy? It's just not real. So I would tell the Lebanese people, don't expect any ceasefire. These people are willing to die for what it is that they're trying to do in regards to creating greater Israel, and your land is required for them to do that. So them throwing a bunch of bodies at it in hopes of being able to ultimately overwhelm you with those bodies is what they're willing to do. Now, whether or not they want to tell their soldiers the truth about that or not is a whole nother story, because eventually what ends up happening is soldiers realizing they're in a suicide mission. So it's like, it's not, the mission isn't meant for them to survive and take over the land, but ultimately just, you know, provide more people than they have bullets, that kind of thing. They can't kill us all with what it is they can afford to shoot us with. It's only so many people they can kill. If we throw 6 million soldiers at them and they only have 5 million bullets, them last million, we can win and take over. Like, that's kind of how Israel's approaching this, to be honest with you, it seems. And so it's like, how long is it going to be before your army realizes that they're being offered up for slaughter? Like, how long is it going to be before they realize they're not meant to survive this? So yeah, that's kind of what it is that we're looking at there. And I just think that the ceasefire agreement is meant to kind of create the guys that they're actually trying to preserve life on their side, when in actuality they have no problems slaughtering all of their people just to get this done. You know, I keep telling the people today, anybody that follows me, you've heard me say this probably more than once. This generation is discardable, man. Not just in our country, in the whole, pretty much the whole world is willing to discard everybody alive today so that they can build what it is they're trying to build for tomorrow. They're willing. and so that's kind of what this is, just another leg of that. You know, Israel's intentional on building greater Israel. The big, you know, woman's shoe. Like, that's what they're trying to build. And they will kill off as many of their soldiers and as many children and as many anybody that ultimately allows them to see that be the case. So that they're losing these battles That's not going to stop them from trying to build what they're building because they've already committed to dying to do it. That's the part of this that I understand. Like, I fully grasp that. They don't care that they're getting their butts whooped, that the resistance is defeating them in these battles. They don't care. Because the people who need to survive in order for them to continue making these decisions aren't getting killed. You understand what I'm saying? It's the soldiers that they throw out there to die that are dying. You know what I'm saying? It's equivalent to me putting down paper towel to clean up a mess. Oh, you think I'm upset that my paper towel pieces have been saturated in water? That's what they're there for. There's no difference. I bought them with the intention of using them to throw them away after being used. That's exactly what your army is. And people keep going to these armies thinking they're going to go there for their own personal reasons. Fam, you're being offered up to slaughter. You know, so that people can do what they want to do, so that they can get rich and wealthy off of your death. Rich and wealthy off of your sacrifice. So that they can have paradise because of it. I want people to understand this as they send their children into these various different armies all over the world. Not just America, although America is the exact same way. But like Israel or, you know, if you're different countries, like that's really what it is, fam. People behind you are going to make threats off of the strength of your willingness to kill and die and be in uncomfortable spaces for long periods of time. Like they're throwing you at the problem. As you continue to offer yourself to them in the name of protecting your country, yeah, you may do a little protecting if somebody actually hits y'all. Like if we actually get hit, you know, there's going to be some people that are going to die trying to save us. But the majority of the time, you're dying doing whatever the dude wants done, who's at the top of the power structure at that moment, who yields to the overall capitalistic structure of things around him, you know. This guy's being paid by that group to do these things. And his solution is force, and force is where you come in. You go to war and train to be a warrior so that he can use you as leverage against whatever the problem is. That's the issue. That's the solution. You're the solution. Otherwise, he's just a guy behind a suit waiting for other armies to come kill him. You are what keeps him in power. And you guys keep offering your kids and yourselves to these problems for promises of a better life. If you survive it, you have pensions or whatever your country provides you, but like you're not meant to necessarily survive these problems. You're a sacrifice for the greater good, if it is indeed good, which in a lot of cases you find out it isn't. It ain't good at all. And the overall culture of celebrating you in your various countries it's just a space of which coerces you to want to do it. It makes it so that the overall culture of doing it and going into these systems and becoming these warriors is something that otherwise you dream of being, because they're celebrated. If not for the celebration of it, if it were shunned, then it wouldn't be nobody joining. They wouldn't have what they need. So they gotta make it so that we're celebrating the warriors and that it's so proud. And yeah, but it's really just human paper towel. Being honest with you, meant to clean up messes. You're valued for what it is that you can ultimately saturate in terms of these problems. They thank you for your service, but they have no problem discarding you just the same. So how important are those things? Thank you. You're killing me. And we appreciate it. What are you talking about? I don't get to respawn. I don't get to come back. It's the one life I got. All the more reason why you should be celebrated for your sacrifice. Man, get the hell out of here. What sacrifice are you making? Are you out there? That's why I respect Sinwar so much. Because he was a dude who was making those decisions, but at the end of the day, he was also busting his gun. You understand what I'm saying? That's why he's an awesome figure in this process. Because he wasn't just making decisions to send other people into their death. He was too also being killed doing that. That's why he's respectful. How many of your presidents are doing that? How many of your generals are really out in the field? Or are they just making decisions sending you out there and getting praise for it? Nah, man. I'm telling y'all, man. The power is in the willingness for soldiers to kill and die, fam. Once that power is no longer in place, once the soldier stops wanting to sacrifice himself, then the decision makers have to figure out a way to enforce what is become, at that point, something that can't be enforced. They got to go out there and try to, with their selves, face these issues. Like they can't face none of these issues without an army. I don't care how much intelligence they have or strategy they have. They're just one person. They're just a few people sitting at a round table. They need those who are willing to kill and die in order to enforce what they do. And so that's what I keep seeing, man. I see regardless of the side, it's just the same copy and paste all over the world. Soldiers dying. Soldiers coming back without limbs. You know, that's the footage that I've been seeing a lot of. Israeli dudes with like missing arm, leg, foot. Like, what the hell? You know, it's footage going around of this dude who was dancing and doing all types of dance. On one side, it shows him dancing, bending down on the ground and twirling his legs in the air. You know, like just real sweet type energy. But like he's dancing. And then on the left side, it shows him after he had like 3 or 4 limbs blown off of him, and he's barely standing with all these synthetic limbs hanging off of him. You know, he can't dance anymore. And then, of course, people are making fun of that because he's IDF soldier. You know what I mean? But the reality is, damn, yo, like, like this is what you sacrifice. You sacrifice yourself for, and in this way, and you're going to live without 3 of your 4 limbs from here on out so that you can follow someone's decisions using your body and your limbs as leverage? Just a week and a half ago, however long that footage was done, you was dancing and bending down and leaning and twirling, and you had all of your God-given limbs, and now you got poles in place of that, of all of those limbs, so that what? The war still continues. Your battles are still out there. More of your people are having that same fate or worse. Not taking into account that the individual fight that he's fighting for is obviously not one that's just. But even if it were, like, damn, bro, it's not like you losing your limbs won the war. You let these people really send you out into that space so that this could happen to you? Meanwhile, they sitting in bunkers, safe, but provoking the people that are ultimately doing this to you and your people. They sit in the bunker safe. Anytime something going crazy around them, suddenly they got alarms, and now they get to run into deep, dark tunnels and get on secret flights out of the country. And here your stupid ass is being thrown at the problem, running toward what the siren's singing. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the threat is. Not even fully briefed on what it is that you're sacrificing yourself for. Just that it's for your country. Just that it's for what the pride of, like, man, that's brainwashing, bro. They blew your limbs off for nothing, bro. You blew your limbs off so that idiot can have more power in whatever decision he wake up feeling he needs to make. And you one of the lucky ones, because it's a graveyard full of y'all. It's like, man, please. The older I get, the less sense it makes. I'm not throwing myself in any of these countries' problems. And I don't think any of my family should anymore either. We've given a lot to this country. My grandfather, my uncle, my nephew, my brother, my dad, all of them military men. a lot of which benefited from it greatly. But if I'd be lying if I said that that was probably the path that I would want for them if I were around when they first joined that. With what I know now, I would have been trying to talk them out of that every step of the way, man. Because at the end of the day, that's offering you up as a sacrifice for whatever problems that ultimately they likely created, with the confidence that they can stand behind you in doing it. It's not for your betterment. It's not. Not unless the leadership is just absolutely and utterly just, man. And it never is. If the leadership is absolutely worthy and they're truly on the defense and they're truly on the up and up and they're helping and saving lives, and that's a worthy cause. Yeah, you should be a soldier for that because it's worth doing. But nothing that this country has been doing, and I mean nothing that this country has really been doing, based on the leadership, the understandings that we have, has ever really been worth anybody actually losing their life or getting their heads blown off or arms blown off and none of this stupid stuff that's going on. So that these big wigs can continue to leverage themselves behind these people. It's not right, man. And that we continue to move like this is normal and allow the culture for which this is normal to continue speaks to us not learning lessons. We're not learning our lessons, man. This is why I don't try to expand my channel. For those who follow me and wonder why I don't promote, why I don't hashtag, why I don't try to monetize, it's because I want the leverage to be able to have these opinions and say them as I see fit. I try to explain that to a friend of mine, but I don't think he gets it. It's like, bro, I don't care to be famous with my voice because I want the freedom to be able to say whatever the hell I want to say. More so than I want a million people to hear me say it. I value that in a way that this era does not, in a way that we're promoted to not. You got to be successful. What is success? The measures they provided me to follow? When more people know you, then you're wealthy, then you have success. But I can't tell the truth. The more people know me, the less truth I have a right to say without consequences that I don't want on my head or others. The more I got to adhere to the capitalistic process of placing ads in between my conversations. I don't care about any of that. That's what they tell me I should want. That's not success to me. That's a deterrent from the focus of the conversation itself. And that I can think for myself is why I'm able to have those measures outside of the culture of what is otherwise against it. I don't want what you guys want. The Lord wired me a certain way to want certain things for specific reasons. And if I gather success, I've failed. Why? Because success is mutable. And once you start signing the contracts, now you got to align with that from who is having you align with those contracts. You got to do what they say. I can't mold my thoughts around their intentions when their intentions and their measures are not my own. They're not my own. These are not things that I want. You can grow your channel if you just be willing to talk this certain way. But the whole point is so that I can talk this certain way, not so that I grow the channel. But the channel's not going to grow unless you get fake. I don't want to be fake. The goal is to be real as hell. The goal is to let my entire DNA and my entire soul be in this camera as I see fit. It's not so that 1 trillion people can see a fake version of me. You know what I'm saying? That's just not success. Based on who? Based on what? This is the difference between aligning with what people tell you is right and not being able to identify that you're doing that, and aligning with what it is that you believe is right to your DNA, to your inner self. What you know you should be doing. The Lord wired me a certain way. So if I go against that DNA, I'm not true to myself. And if I'm not true to myself, then it doesn't matter how many people are paying attention to me. They're not getting me from the situation. I believe in organic growth. I believe in core followings. I believe in a good experience. You ain't never got to sit through no damn ads when you're watching me. Never. Will that change someday? Maybe, I don't know. But right now, while I'm having these conversations, shouldn't be no interruptions. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, if I'm wired this way, why would I go against that wiring so that I can meet the measures of man? Man say, become more famous, spread your voice out so you can be heard more. But the more your voice is spread, the more controlled you are by those who control that for which is fame. Now I'm famous, I'm aligned with certain companies. Now I've touched the masses. Now I've reached into a market that is controlled by big business. If I'm only listening to if I'm only talking to a few people, the market's mine. Once I start talking to everybody, now everybody's interest is involved. Now everybody's politics is disrupted. I don't want to be involved in any of that. And the funny thing is if I say enough real stuff, I'm going to reach the most important people any damn way. I'm going to find the people that are going down the road less traveled. And a lot of times they are feeding the masses any damn way. You know how to make sure you target the right few, and you can reach more people than you would if you were to get big, believe it or not. But if the idea is for it to all come from your voice and you get all the credit, that's a whole nother story. But if the idea is to let your ideas spread, then there are many unorthodox ways you can let that happen. And sometimes it's not about reaching everybody, it's just about reaching the right people. And that's what I pride myself in doing. So it's like, I don't really care about the masses knowing of who I am, because that leaves me in a space where I'm likely going to have to adjust what it is that I am in order to fit what it is that they need. I don't care to do that. I only got but so much time to live, man. You understand what I'm saying? When you grew up, and I'm going to say it like this. When you grew up idolizing the biggest star to ever walk the earth, not named Jesus Christ, and Michael Jackson, and you hear his testimony about how fame treated him, the last thing you want is fame for real. The golden ticket of fame is a poison pill for the people who inhabit it, in a lot of cases, especially if they're really talented. It's the worst thing in the world, being famous. That famous, for which all these people who are famous are trying to reach up to be, they're miserable. You got some of the most influential people in the world in the environment known as controlling the masses, which is, as I just said, a market for that belongs to big business. So they don't get to do what they want to do. They got to hear somebody else say it's okay or not okay for them to do whatever it is they ultimately want to do. They got to think about many different things that I refuse to think about when it's time to communicate with people. Who's going to be upset about this? How many people are listening to this are going to be influenced the wrong way? Who's going to turn away from me because this is not the status quo in the conversation? You know how many times I would have lost the masses with conversations I've had on this camera that I'm proud of? If I had 1 million people listening to me, they would have canceled me. I'd be back to 500. Some of the conversations we've had. Why would I reach for 1 million to lose it all? I'd rather stay at 500 the whole damn time. Reach up to 515. That's more realistic for what it is that ultimately I think would be listening to me. Because only a few people would actually be able to receive what I'm saying based on the masses being manipulated so heavily by propaganda. So once I get a hold of the masses, now I got to speak in a language that ultimately speaks through what it is they can receive. Because I got to compete with the propaganda machine that's been embedded in their heads for years. The only people I'm targeting are people who can think their way around in the beginning, the first place. The only people I'm actually talking to are people who have had that propaganda on their head and are in a space where they can say, yeah, it's bullshit though. So I'm going to listen to something else other than that with the time that I have in my life. Those are the people I'm actually targeting. Not the common person who's likely going to be turning on something that everybody else is watching. No. I can't reach them any damn way. Got too much truth attached to my spirit. They ain't gonna like me at all. But those who are ultimately placing a lot of what it is they believe into the programs that they're watching, those people are following me. The CIA agents who are ultimately looking into their lives deeply, those are the people who are following me. The bigwigs, the billionaires, the 1%ers, who know that a good portion of what it is we're paying attention to is bullcrap, those are the people who are following me. Those are the people I want to talk to. A lot of influencers are trying to get the common brain. Nah, I want the secrets. I want those who are hiding in the shadows with secret identities to pay attention to me. Those people I want, like, know me. Why? Because a lot of what I talk about is catered for you. A lot of the stuff that the Lord puts in my heart is meant for you. It ain't meant for the rest of these regular, like, no, it's not meant for them. It's meant for the influencer. It's meant for the powerful person. It's meant for the big bad wolf. You are who I'm talking to 9 out of 10 times. The leader, the owner of the team. Like, that's who I'm talking to. Literally. Because I feel like a lot of times those are the ones who are not being either spoken to or told the truth to. They're being lied to. They're being pandered to. People are too afraid to speak to you a certain way. The environment you're in is catered towards you not hearing the truth. 9 out of 10 times people are pandering to you. Or don't know you there, so they ain't speaking to you at all. That's who I'm talking to. That's who the Lord made me want to target as my audience. If y'all know I'm alive, I've won. And so that's really what it's about. I'm not, the measures that people, let's reach 1 million people. If 1 million people are negative 30, and I could reach 500 who are positive 30, just by imaginary measurements. If I could reach the chosen few, then I definitely got a lot more out of my life than I did if I would have reached the masses, who only have like 1 out of every million of those people are a chosen few. You understand what I'm saying? These are measures that they don't tell you to measure. Why? Because it's all about getting the most. Capitalism's about getting the most. I need it all. I'm hoarding everything. I don't care who's listening, just that they're paying attention. I don't even care what they're paying attention to, just that they're watching me. Like, that shit don't mean nothing to me, man. That's the opposite of what I'm looking at. That's the opposite of the measurements that I have in my spirit. I don't care about none of that. That holds no value. That's saturated in water. There holds no weight. People famous for the wrong reasons. Got nothing but morons and idiots following them all over the place. To do what? So that you can feel what? You're not influencing nothing. You got a lot of people paying attention to you, leading them all the wrong direction, getting them no closer to anything that's going to help them get through the propaganda machine that's ultimately upon their heads. Teaching nobody behind those machines, convincing none of them to change their ways. You ain't doing nothing. And the moment you're not paying into or playing into the games that they're playing, suddenly they remove you from your spot any damn way. Who's advising them? Who's talking to those people who are in charge of whether or not this influencer has an opportunity to speak because he's influencing the world the way they want him to? Who is helping them influence the world the way it should be? Who's helping them make the decisions to say, you know what, maybe we shouldn't shut this guy down because maybe what it is he's selling is actually what we need. We just haven't been in a space where we know it yet. That's who the Lord created me to be. Somebody who speaks, who plants seeds in those minds. And if you go back and listen to all of my therapy sessions, you're going to find out that's exactly who I see on the other end of this camera. When I'm speaking, the way that I speak. I'm always talking to the boss. I'm always talking to the influencer. I'm always talking to the spook behind the suits that knows aliens exist and know God is real. I'm talking to all of those guys. I ain't talking to Joe Blow down the street. If he happens to be listening, salute. But I'm trying to reach the people who influence you. I want them to have a different voice in their ear. I want them to be relatable to stuff that they have no way of touching. No way of touching. But they're making decisions for all of these people that they are not relatable to, that they don't even communicate with, that they don't bump elbows with, that doesn't know they're there, that don't know what to say to them if they did. That's who I'm talking to. And it comes naturally to me as walking down the street. And so that's what I'm telling all of y'all, man. Don't look at BDF44 and say, oh, he's not successful. Because the measures of what you consider success is not what I'm aiming for. In a lot of cases, when it comes to reaching the masses and expanding the channel and all that stuff, man, that stuff don't come organically, bro. I don't have nothing to do with that. That's not a measure from which I need to be reaching for. What I need to be reaching for is the intentional and the intention of communication. Is to dig deep so that what's coming out of my mouth actually aligns with what it is that I can align with as a person. The excellence that I want to see in the performance of those that ultimately I'm aiming to speak with. Like that's what real measures of success are for me. And I believe in something greater than myself that's going to make it so that when it's time for the masses to know of me, they will know of me. When it's time for all my art to be exposed to the world, my art will be exposed to the world attached to the person that I was. I didn't need no great marketing scheme to make me greater because that was never greatness to me. I was never worried about never being discovered because it was never a question of whether or not that was important. It was never important that I be discovered by the masses and become famous. That was never real as it pertains to what success actually is. That's not real. To me. And a lot of what it is I do is based around faith and an understanding that there's something greater than myself. And if I know that that's there, then why am I worried about my voice being reached all over the world or that I become famous or all types of... What the hell? If that's his realm and he controls all of that truthfully, then he created me to be comfortable in this space. And when he's ready for me to be whatever it is he intends for me to be, I'll be exactly that. If you truly believe in something greater than yourself, then you ain't got to worry about all that. The world teach you how to want what it wants for you so it can use you as a piece to its puzzle. I'm not worried it's that type of organism. That was not what the Lord made me to be. I was supposed to be able to function outside of that, hidden in plain sight. That's exactly what I was supposed to do. The irony of my existence should tell anybody who's paying close enough attention to me that that's exactly what it is. Where am I from? Hollywood. Who's less Hollywood than me? Like, seriously. Like, certain stuff like that should tell you I'm on a different frequency. And so that's what I'm trying to tell people, man. I'm not measuring what the world wants me to measure in 2024. The world is primitive, man. They don't know nothing about what it needs to know in order to know what it should be aiming for 9 out of 10 times. Today is not forever at all. If anything, it's the Stone Ages. Literally. And I walk the earth with that absolute understanding. I ain't listening to none of these people around here telling me what the hell I should want. I ain't listening to these people tell me how to make it for myself for this, that, and the third. No. I'm following what I know is true based on what it is the Lord created me organically to be. And anything outside of that is not for me. And if it never pans out to be anything, then that's exactly what God wanted it to be. And if it pans out that I'm one of the most famous people of my time, then that's exactly what the Lord wanted me to be. But that I try to manifest that or force that in any way, it's not what he created for me to be. It's not. That's not what comes naturally to me. And that's what people don't understand. Everything I'm doing is organic. No script. I don't plan in these conversations. I know what the Lord gave me gifts to do. I know what I'm here to do at this point. I've done it enough times to know exactly what it is. I ain't got to worry about whether or not the masses is going to understand what it is I'm about. It's not for them. It's not for them. And as far as me communicating with people in regards to the Lakers, that's the point. That's an interest of mine. It comes naturally to me. It comes very naturally to me. It's one of the things that makes me a person in this era today, despite being so far away from a lot of what everybody's doing, is that I have interests within this world today that allow me to be a part of today. I have passions in art and in music. You know, I'm not just some entity in the cosmos mentally. But at the same time, I don't have to pretend like I'm not on a different frequency than the rest of the earth. I don't have to act like I'm not. The promise of my fate and my existence is already understood well before anybody knows of what it is I've been doing here. That's what I want people to understand. It's almost like I know a secret that nobody else knows, that I don't have to get famous. I don't have to worry about being discovered. I don't have to silence myself or be tiptoe around my words, that I can effectively be exactly the way I am and be exactly comfortable with that. And that because I'm the way I am, it's so important that I stay true to that. Maybe other people can pretend to be something else. Maybe it's within their organism to align with the status quo and to take on the measures of what is deemed successful in 2024. But for me, I know better. It's not at all what comes natural to me. It's not at all what the Lord wants me to do. He wants me to do this right here. Genocide is wrong. Racism is wrong. Being so caught up in the idea that all of these things, you know, in the world are meant for your betterment and only your betterment, and that the world centers around you is wrong. Adhering to human gods is wrong. Using religion to push forth murderous agendas and agendas that ultimately align your pockets with massive amounts of wealth and hoarding is wrong. Certain stuff is like, yo, that comes naturally to me. And a lot of what is in these cultures are meant to have us coerce away from those spaces from which we're doing right. And aligns us with what's wrong. It's all wrong, man. And that's why the conversations that I have are the way they are. That's why the Lord wired one of these human beings to be like this. Because somebody needs to be able to do this in this way. If certain things are going to change, there needs to be certain entities that are moving against the grain. That's at the end of the day, that's what it really comes down to. In any faction of science in any way, once change comes along, if there's any change, it has to be some organism that comes in moving a little differently than everybody else, just so they can start the process of the alignment of anew. Whatever that looks like. Something else coming, if it's going to change. If we have a new cadence in rap, it's going to be a guy that comes in that's going to introduce that cadence to the world, and people are going to follow it. And it's going to manifest from there. While everybody else is dribbling really, really basic, you got a Michael Jordan coming in here, jumping from the free throw line. Like, there's always going to be an entity that's going to introduce permanent change and influence what otherwise derives from that change. And there's always going to be an environment of individuals and an environment of culture that's going to ultimately make it so that that energy has to go against it in order to exist in its own comfortable space. It has to be unique to itself at all times, in the presence of those who are going to tell you that there's something wrong with it, and they're going to shame it, and it's weird, and they're going to fear it because they don't understand it, and all of that. But what it really is just the beginning of a new. The continuation of evolution in whatever form it ultimately is a part of. That's literally what this is. Video 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.